What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So as you may have figured out, I'm not currently in the garage, and the reason for that is today's video is going to be slightly different. As you've probably already picked up from the thumbnail and the title of this video, we're going to start letting you guys in on what we've got cooking. So today marks the first day where we're going to show you the wide body design and how we are going to go about developing it. In today's video, we're going to take you through the initial couple steps of how we're going to go about developing this wide body kit. Obviously, the R&D for something like this is going to take a while, so it's going to have to be broken up over a couple videos. But hopefully today, you guys will start getting a bit of an idea of where we are going with this build and how we plan to achieve it. So in this video, we're going to start covering some of the more nerdy aspects of what goes into developing something like a wide body kit. From things like using the 3D scans to CADing up the body kit and how we plan to go about making the molds and the test pieces for the body kit itself. So right now, I'm going to jump back into the garage and show you guys where we decided to start this process. Right guys, so AMS3D is still busy finishing up the last bits of our scan, but we want to just try and figure it out for ourselves. So we've got an Xbox 360 Connect camera, and these can be used as a very rudimentary 3D scanner. So Yaku's got the laptop here. We're just going to give it a shot ourselves and see if we can get anything usable from this. And the reason for that is we want to try and see if we can get this profile over here so that we can do a rear windscreen spoiler. So we're going to give this a shot. We don't know if it's going to work, but it will be pretty cool if it does.
Would you like to explain what you do?
Right, so we're just having a bit of an issue with the scanner going through the window. So what we're doing is we're just taping up the window so that it has got a non-transparent surface to reflect off of. And we're actually not too worried about these wrinkles because that actually just gives the scanner a little bit of extra geometry so that it knows where it is. Alright everyone, so now that we've got our 3D scan, you're probably all wondering what we're going to be doing with it. So we were using the free version of an app called Scanect, and using this app we were somewhat limited to what size the file could be. Now we didn't want to go and buy the full paid version of it because we know that we're still going to be getting the scans from AMS and they are going to be of a much higher quality regardless. So the first thing I did is I pulled the scan into a CAD software, in this case SolidWorks, to be able to view the scan in 3D space. I then started up by using a 3D sketch tool to be able to map out points and create an effective framework of where I want the spoiler to sit. Now it is worth mentioning this initial sketch and this design that I'm showing now did change between the time of filming and when we decided to do a test print. But this gives you a pretty good idea of what we did. So the first thing I decided to do was to use a spline tool which allows us to manipulate a curve to match the curves of the glass and the edge of the window. These lines here and here are the ones that match the profile of the car, as well as this one which matches the outside edge of the window. The rest of the lines that make up the rest of the spoiler I had a fair amount of freedom with, as these do not necessarily need to match up with any geometry already on the car. Once I was happy with the sketch, I was able to go and fill in the sketch to be able to make some separate surfaces. So the first surface I wanted to make is this one highlighted in blue which matches the profile of the window. As you can see, some of it does go above the window and below the window, but the amount in which it goes above and below the window is pretty much negligible. So if I hide the initial 3D scan, you should be able to see what this initial surface looked like, and this will effectively be our bonding surface to be able to mount the wing to the glass. Now turning the file for the scan back on, we can then start building up the rest of the spoiler from here now that we know that the initial shape is correct. Now this is where the fun starts. We know it's going to fit pretty well, so now we've just got to make it look good. I started off by using our initial framework that we made to create a top surface to be able to figure out where the wing is going to lie. Now bear in mind that this bulge that we've got going on in the middle is just a box that we put down so we knew where the middle of the car was, because it is much easier to be able to make one half of something like this and then just mirror it across so that it's completely symmetrical. So now that I had the top profile of the spoiler done, it was time to move on to the side profile and to get it all connected. So here you can see the back profile of the spoiler, which is going to make up the rear lip. So now going through the process of making all the surfaces, I was able to CAD up an entire spoiler and convert this to one solid piece. After the time of filming this piece, I went back and fixed some bits and pieces. As you can see here in the middle where it mirrored, it did not mirror as a completely smooth curve. So once this was all fixed, it was ready to go and we were able to 3D print our first test piece. Right guys, so we've done a bit of a test print on the spoiler that we worked on last night. We've just done a small section, so we're going to take this off now and try and pop it on the car and see if everything lines up, see how good our CAD is, because this will also be a really good proof of concept going forward for any of the other modifications that we want to do. Yaku's just checking the fitment of it here, And I don't know what you guys think, but I think that is pretty much on the money. We used our 3D scan. As you saw, we sketched along that 3D scan to get the profile of this window as well as the curvature of the glass. And I think we are really doing pretty well for our first attempt here. It's running along the edge of the window really nicely. We'll probably end up changing this profile a bit. This kicks out a little bit too far for our liking. So we'll probably take it straighter to follow the length of the car. So I think we're onto the right track. A couple modifications and I think we will be pretty much good to go there. Right, so now that we kind of know that this sort of method will generally work, we're going to start catting up some of the other body panels we want to work on. But first we're going to need to scan those bits and pieces. So let's get going with that right now. Right, Jacko, so what have we just done here?
We have scanned the back fender.
Yeah.
We'll see how it... Well, it gets us started at least until we get the scans from AMS 3D.
Yeah.
At least we can do some mock-ups while we wait, and then we'll obviously get a very accurate model, so that'll help.
But guys, I think overall, for a 300 Rand cash converters Xbox Connect, do you want to rotate it around there and show them kind of the detail? I don't think that's bad for something that you can definitely get yourself and do yourself. So I think it's pretty cool. So using this 3D scan that Yaku just showed us, I've now started up making the framework for our rear over fender. So as I'm sure you can see here, this is where the limitations of using the free version of the software comes in. We lose a lot of the detail due to our limitations in file size. So instead of having many small little surfaces making up all of our curves, we've now got huge triangles, which makes it much more difficult to get an accurate and usable scan. Nevertheless, off camera we also did the front fender, so I'll show you that now because I've got it a little bit further along with that, as the rear fender is much more difficult due to the fact that we've got a 4-door and a petrol flap to deal with. So jumping onto our front fender, you can see we've got the same problem as the rear fender, but due to the fact that we don't have any doors to worry about, it was a little bit easier to get a mock-up going. So I'm going to quickly unhide everything so that you can see what we're dealing with here and how far we've gotten. So the section highlighted in blue is the current design for the over fender. I'll leave it highlighted in blue for now just so that you can see what we are dealing with. As you can see, we're going quite a lot wider. If we go to the front of the vehicle, you get a good idea of the profile. If I turn it to grey to match the rest of the aesthetic, you can kind of get an idea of where we're going with this. Now that this is completely catted up, the next step of this process will be to 3D print it, but we're going to have to leave that for another video. And that's simply because it is such a large piece that I'm going to now have to go and cut it up into individual pieces, print them separately, and then once they're printed, stick them back together to be able to make our first test print of the over fender. And yes guys, we are very well aware of the fact that we are going to need some wider wheels and tires to fill these out. So if you have any suggestions on wheels that you think would suit this build, please drop a comment below and let us know, because we would really like to hear from you guys as to what you think about this build and what wheels you think would really suit this wide body design. Now, it is worth mentioning that we've obviously been online to look at other wide body designs, but we are determined to make this our own unique design to ensure that this is a complete one-off. Anything else to add from the peanut gallery?
Yes.
Look at me, I'm still working here, and Brandon's just standing there trying to look pretty. For I don't know who's.
I don't have to try to look pretty, it just happens. Okay guys, so as you've probably picked up from all this 3D scanning and bits and pieces, we have decided to just try and get going on making some rough mock-ups of what we're wanting to do. The proper 3D scans that we got done by AMS do take a while to process, as they are massive files, so we just thought we'd get a rough idea in the meantime until those scans are all ready for us. So firstly, we have scanned the section of our window. We've scanned the fenders, both the rear ones as well as the front ones. We want to start with this section because we think it'll be a good proof of concept for the rest of the plan. Alright guys, so this was a big video to let you guys in on the secrets that we've been keeping from you. We've given away a bit more of the overall plan, and we want to know from you guys what you think of the route that we're taking. And if you've enjoyed this content, please make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and most importantly, if you don't want to miss where this build is going, hit the notification bell. That way you will not miss a single upload. So next week we're going to start fitting some of the body panels. So as I said, make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. We'll see you next week. Okay, bye.